Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah, also known as Lighthouse Delphi, and I had a near-death experience. So, a little backstory, just so you guys know, I am a single mother of 3 children, and this near-death experience happened the day that my third child was born. He was born on July 6th, 2017, so that is also the day of my near-death experience. So it will be a day that I never forget because it is my son's birthday as well. So every year that I celebrate his birthday, I also celebrate a year of life for myself. So basically, I dealt with a lot of health issues when I was pregnant with my third child, my son. I dealt with like gestational diabetes. They said he was going to be a 10+ pound baby. And so they were just letting me know that that's why I was having such like a hard time carrying him and everything like that because he was so large. And because he was so large, they wanted to do a C-section and they wanted to do it like 2 months early. So he was like 2 months early and a scheduled cesarean. So about 2 days before my scheduled cesarean, which is July 6th, so 2 days before that, I was getting like a premonition. And the premonition was basically something about the anesthesia. Like I was just very unsettled about the anesthesia. And so I remember like reaching out, telling my mom, like, Mom, I don't really have a good feeling about this anesthesia. And she was like, well, when you go into the pre-op, just tell them. So I went into the pre-op to talk about the surgery with the anesthesiologist. And I let her know, like, hey, I have had a high risk pregnancy. I'm really worried about this anesthesia. And she reminded me, well, you've done this twice before already. And I told her, yeah, I know I've had that. I've had 2 cesareans before and I've done anesthesia. But this time around, I was terrified. I was terrified about this amnesia because of this premonition, this feeling of unease I was getting. So I left the pre-op and I just prayed for like 2 days before I went in for surgery. I prayed. It's not like I could say no. I had to get the baby out. So I went for surgery and they prepped me for surgery. And my prior 2 cesareans, they rolled me in a wheelchair from my preparation room to the OR, to the actual operating room. They wheeled me in a wheelchair, but for some reason this time they did not wheel me in a wheelchair. They asked me to walk. And when I was walking down this cold, white, bright hallway with the nurse, I was shivering and trembling more and more. And the closer that I got to the OR, the more that I trembled. And I just was praying under my breath. And I told the nurse, hey, this feels like the walk of death. This doesn't feel right. This is scary. Like I'm shaking. And she held my hand and she said, I will make sure that I stay here with you the whole time. And I said, okay. And I grabbed her hand. We went into the room. There was other surgical techs, everybody in there. My doctor was not in there yet, but they call it a spinal tap. Most people know it by epidural. What it is, it's a needle that goes into the spine and it basically numbs you from the waist down. But I had a spinal tap. And so what that did is it numbed me. Basically, I couldn't move my arms or anything. It numbed me from like the neck down because I can move my neck side to side, but that's all I could do. I could blink my eyes, I could talk, and I could move my head side to side, but no arm movement, nothing. So with that being said, they gave me my spinal tap and I laid down. And when I laid down, they just let me know, like, we're going to go ahead and start the surgery. I did not feel any pain or anything like that, but I felt all like the tugging and the pulling. It just felt, everything about this felt wrong. Okay. So I remember even speaking to my doctor during the surgery and I told her, doctor, is it normal that I know you're using shears on me right now? Is it normal that I know you're cutting me with scissors? And she was like, can you feel any pain? And I said, no. She goes, then you're okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So I was in and out of consciousness. I remember the anesthesiologist asking me, like, are you okay? And I was telling him I'm very, very nauseous. And I was like puking in this like bowl next to me. I kind of was just passing out. in and out, but I was hearing the nurses nonchalantly talk about their day, and I was hearing the music in the background. So I was still with it. Next thing you know, they rolled me into the recovery room, and that's when they took my vitals to make sure that I was stabilized after surgery. And this is what I remember. I remember only my mom was in there with me, and I started drifting. I started like coming in and out of consciousness and being very, very, very thirsty. I felt like I was in the desert and needed so many gallons of water or ice or just something. So when the nurse came in finally to check on me, I said to her, I need ice. And in the hospital, they call them ice chips. And it's just basically like crushed ice. And I was like, I need ice chips. And she was like, no, you just had surgery. You can't have anything. And I was like, I need water. I need ice chips. I'm so hot. I'm so hot. And she was like, we can't give you anything. And I just remember like being so hot. At this point, my mother, she noticed my vitals going down. My body was losing homeostasis. And homeostasis is the normal temperature that your body runs. I was losing my organ function, and I was losing my temperature, my heart rate. Everything was dropping. And I just heard her scream at the door. All I saw was her open the door, and she was screaming into the hallway, someone come and help my daughter. Her heart rate is low. And then I remember I kind of passed back out. Next thing you know, I was awoken to like a scatter of nurses, like probably like 6 nurses all around me scattering because of my vitals. And I just remember them being scared. I could feel them. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I just knew like these nurses are scared, and there was a lot of movement, but it seems like they didn't know what to do. So my mother, she woke me up because I guess I fell back asleep, and she said, Sarah, the head anesthesiologist is here. So that what they did was they called the head anesthesiologist that was on the floor, not the one who did the surgery, but the one that was in charge of all the anesthesiologists. And he washed his hands and he walked over to me and he said, how do you feel? And I said, I need ice. I'm hot, thirsty. Can I please get naked? At this time, it was like, pass, I need a drink. It was like, take my clothes off. I got to get naked. And mind you, all I had on was a hospital gown. And everybody knows hospitals are freezing. That's why I'm freezing right now telling this story. I feel so cold. And all I had was a little hospital gown on. And I said, can I please get naked? And he said to me, no, I know that you feel cold. He said, but you have morphine-induced hypothermic shock. And I said, huh? I remember him trying to explain, you know how the people in the mountains, when you get too cold, your body doesn't know its own thermal temperature. So it doesn't know if it's hot, doesn't know if it's cold. My brain wasn't registering this. So I felt so hot, but what was happening was I was so cold. So when I asked the doctor again, please, can I just get naked? He said no. And then he started yelling at the nurses to get her some warm IVs, get her what they called a bear hugger, which I guess is like a blanket that blows hot air. So they were trying to warm me up from the inside as well as the outside, because at this point in time, even my organs were losing function. Because what happens is when you take pain medication, let's say as morphine, your blood vessels, they get bigger, they dilate. And when your blood vessels dilate, you lose body heat really fast. So basically when I was in surgery and I was losing this body heat, nobody was keeping me warm. So when I got into recovery room at this point, I'm hot. It's all get out. I'm just so hot. But in reality, all my warmth was going towards my organs to try to keep my organs going. And then at this point, by the time the head anesthesiologist came in, I was in pure shock. I remember him saying, get the warm IVs. Then the nurses came in again, scattering, doing whatever they were doing. I kind of started to feel a little bit better, but then I fell back asleep. And then I woke up to the doctor yelling again. He was saying, this is broken. I didn't know this at the time, but my mom told me afterwards that they had put a broken bear hugger on me. So the bear hugger was blowing cold air on me. At that moment in time, that is when I left my body, because my vitals had dropped so low, I was gone. At this moment in time, I was on a beach, and it was a beautiful ocean in front of me. And I was walking towards the ocean, and I was filled with so much love, so much peace, so much beauty. It was like the best day in the world. It felt like Disneyland on steroids. Like, it just felt so amazing. And I was so happy to be there. And I started walking towards the water. And when I started walking towards the water, I heard my mom call my name. I heard her go, Sarah, like that, like I was a young child in trouble. And when she yelled my name like that, it stopped me in my tracks. I did not look back because honestly, I didn't care what she had to say, because in my mind, I was made up that like, hello, can't you see I'm enjoying myself? I'm about to get in the water. So I did not respond to her, but it did stop me in my tracks. And when I stopped in my tracks, I looked all around me, and in front of me, there was some people that were in the water. On the left side, there was a beautiful mother. She was probably in her 30s. She was a blonde woman, and she had her son, who was probably about 9 months old, and he was with her in the water. She was less than like waist height. She was like thigh deep in the water, and she had her son in like one of those yellow floaties that you put like their little feet in him. He was in that. She was playing with him. They were just having a grand old time, which I felt so connected. I didn't know who they were, but I felt so connected to where I was, and felt so connected to the water, and felt so connected to the love that they were sharing, that I was like, I'm definitely getting in the water. And I looked over to the right of me, and there was like 3 brothers or 3 best friends, three men that were like such a close bond. I mean, it was beautiful, the type of bond that they had. None of these people said anything to me. I felt them like they were in the time of their lives. These men were like Italian looking men. They were probably like in their 40s. And you could tell they were friends for life. Like brothers, cousins, friends for life. And they were just like this much deep of water. And they were just like all like swimming, but they were in a circle looking at each other and talking. And I just thought like, this is just so amazing. I'm so happy to be here. So I kept walking to go to the water, and I looked down at my foot. And when I looked down at my foot and my foot almost hit the water, I heard my mom scream my name again. But at this time, she screamed it with terror. She was like, Sarah, like that. And when she screamed it like that, I automatically looked back like that. And the reason why is like, when she screamed my name, I felt like I was like a 2-year-old about to cross a busy traffic street. That's what it felt like. So when she screamed like that, I didn't even have a chance to think. I just already looked back. And when I looked back like that, I was in my body in the hospital. And my mother was praying over me. She had her hand on my shoulder right here, praying on me like that. And she wasn't praying loud. She was just like whispering prayers. And whenever I looked and I saw her and she was whispering prayers, I saw a figure come off of her and lay in the bed with me. And at first I thought it was her laying in the bed with me. I thought she laid in the bed with me. But later when I told her, I said, thanks for laying in the bed with me. That meant so much to me. And she said, I never laid in the bed with you. I said, yeah, when you prayed over me, I saw you lay in the bed with me. And she said, that wasn't me. And so it was like an angel came off of her prayer and literally laid with me in my bed with me. I cuddled. I felt so much comfort. It felt like a guardian. It felt like a best friend. It just felt like an angel of love and comfort and peace. And I felt warm again. I was just so thankful. And because of like all this that I have gone through, I had to really do some deep diving after that within myself. And as I've healed more physically and spiritually, now I'm able to kind of be this angel of comfort and peace for other people. And now I offer like energy healings and spiritual advisement. And I call my channel and my business Lighthouse Delphi, because I want to be able to be a lighthouse for those that feel lost. Because I want everybody, when they cross over, I want them to be able to be at so much peace that they have that kind of experience as well when it's time for them to cross over. And if you guys want to know any more about me, you guys can go to my website at lighthousedelphi.com, or you can go to YouTube and type in Lighthouse Delphi as well. Thank you so much for listening.